Henry held a white cat, grinning like a fool. In 4 years of marriage, it was the first time I had seen him so happy. Seeing me blocking the door, his face turned red with urgency.
This is her favorite cat.
Oh. I instructed the butler to take care of the cat. Tears welled up in his eyes.
Emily, you heartless woman.
Compared to losing my life, I'd rather be a heartless woman. 3 months ago, it was our 4th wedding anniversary. Henry, usually so aloof, said he had a surprise for me. But midway, he pulled over to take a call. A black Porsche lost control and came straight at us. Amid the deafening crash, he whispered,
"Don't be afraid,"
and shielded me with his body. I only suffered minor scratches. But Henry's head was severely injured, and he was in a coma for 2 weeks. When he woke up, the first thing he did was look for his beloved. I was almost moved to tears. But that beloved wasn't me. The doctor said his memory was confused, and his intellect had regressed. What the family needed to do was accompany and understand him. Accompany him to find his lost love? Understand that he had someone else in his heart? Absolutely not. I threw our marriage certificate and 5-year contract in his face, hiding my pain and maintaining a cold demeanor.
If you want to fool around, wait another year.
As soon as he was discharged, he somehow brought back a cat, claiming it was his beloved's favorite. It made me laugh. After months of probing, I knew he had feelings but no courage, liking someone for years without confessing. This cat was probably a figment of his imagination, picked up from who knows where. Sure enough, the butler gave me a knowing look and whispered,
"Madam, don't worry. The cat was bought by the young master on the roadside. He'd even argue with a child for it, making the kid cry and paying several times the price."
Henry, the spendthrift. But the absurdity didn't end there. Henry found the well-fed cat in the backyard, secretly brought it to the bedroom, and returned it at night, fearing I, the heartless woman, would find out. Don't ask how I knew, he ended up in the emergency room. When I woke up, it was already late at night. Sobbing echoed in the dark hospital room, gnawing at my nerves. I looked closely and saw Henry sitting with his back to me, still wearing his bunny pajamas, ears twitching.
"Little bunny, be quiet, you're disturbing."
The bunny whimpered a few more times and then fell silent.
"Still keeping the cat?"
"I'm sorry. I won't let the cat near you again."
I sighed silently. The first time I had an allergic reaction in front of him, he also apologized like he had done something wrong, even though it wasn't his fault. In our first year of marriage, on Mother's Memorial Day, Henry insisted on going with me.
"As your lawful partner, it's my duty to accompany you to see your mother."
It was the first time since her death that someone had gone with me to visit her. On Mother's Memorial Day, Henry insisted on going with me.
"As your lawful partner, it's my duty to accompany you to see your mother."
It was the first time since her passing that someone had gone with me to visit her. On that gloomy day, Henry held an umbrella and followed behind me with a solemn expression. I wanted to place the flowers in front of the tombstone, but the drizzling rain was unkind to the delicate blooms.
"Here, let me help."
He took off his suit jacket to cover my head, tilting the black umbrella over the flowers. The scent of rain mixed with a hint of pine, probably from Henry, a cool yet reassuring smell. Suddenly, a black cat leaped out from the cypress bushes. Startled by the rain, it lunged at me. Henry reacted quickly, extending his arm to block it. The cat's sharp claws tore through his shirt sleeve, leaving 3 scratches. Our destination changed from home to the hospital. Initially, there was only one injured person, but by the time we arrived, Henry hadn't received his vaccine, and I was having trouble breathing, ending up in the emergency room. While examining his arm in the car, I hadn't noticed the cat hair on his shirt. That night, he sat in the shadows, frowning and promising that I would never encounter cat hair again.
I won't let you suffer because of this again.
He must have really liked cats. The decorations on his desk, the pillows on the sofa, even the slippers were cat-themed. When I returned from the hospital, all of these were gone. He never touched a cat again. In similar details, he always made me mistakenly believe that he loved me deeply. Thinking of this, I forced a smile.
Once we divorce, you can be around cats as much as you want. It won't matter to me.
Henry's body stiffened, and he pouted.
No!
I was confused. What did he mean by no? 3 years of practice, 5 years of separation, wasn't this what Henry himself had said?
I don't care! You can't leave!
Why? Didn't he have someone else in his heart? Why was he still holding on to me?
You look too much like her. I can't let you go.
The heart that had gradually warmed over 5 years plummeted to freezing point at that moment. So that's why he chose the Sue family, why he didn't choose Jessica but picked me, the discarded one. It was all because of this face. The moonlight was out of reach, so he found a substitute. Even if he didn't love me, he didn't want to let go. My inherent pride would never allow me to become someone else's substitute. Yet, someone was eager to claim that role.
Henry, long time no see.
The next afternoon, Jessica barged into my hospital room. She was dressed exquisitely, her wine-red dress unable to suppress her vibrant allure, just like her seductive mother. My heart ached sharply, and memories clawed at my body as if cutting through it. At that moment, Henry, like a startled rabbit, darted to my side. He held my hand tightly, the warmth from his palm making me pause slightly.
I don't know her.
His blunt words made Jessica's face turn pale.
You were holding my cat yesterday, and today you don't recognize me?
Her cat?
The suffocating feeling from last night seemed to surround me again.
Yes, sister, I asked my brother to take it out.
She looked smug and moved closer to Henry. The scent of her perfume overpowered even the hospital's disinfectant smell. She was blatantly telling me that Henry's beloved was her. The bunny whimpered a few more times before falling silent.
Still keeping the cat?
Henry turned to sneak a glance at Emily's stern expression, then shook his head with difficulty.
I'm sorry. I won't let the cat near you again.
Emily sighed silently. The first time she had an allergic reaction in front of him, he also apologized like he had done something wrong, even though it wasn't his fault. In their first year of marriage, on Mother's Memorial Day, Henry insisted on going with Emily.
As your lawful partner, it's my duty to accompany you to see your mother.
It was the first time since her mother's passing that someone had gone with Emily to visit her.
I'm certain Jessica isn't that irreplaceable person. After all, you rejected her in person.
Emily sneered, "Oh, he wouldn't marry an illegitimate child."
Don't you remember me, Henry? You're just using my sister as a stand-in for me, aren't you?
Jessica's face turned ugly, and her hand instinctively reached out. Before Emily could block her, Henry pushed her down.
Don't touch her, you filthy thing.
Even with his memory loss, Henry's words were still sharp and to the point. Jessica sat on the ground, tears welling up.
She learned about Henry's condition and came to deceive him.
You're not her. She's prettier, kinder, and doesn't have that awful smell you do.
Henry's face lit up with a sweet smile, making Emily's heart ache with jealousy.
I'm not pretty, not kind, and I only smell like soap, not gardenias. Damn it, I'm just a low-quality substitute. This is too much. I want a divorce from Henry.
No one paid attention to Jessica anymore, and she left in a fit of rage. After Henry got injured, he couldn't handle the company's affairs himself, so I had to oversee things for him. I was so busy that my feet barely touched the ground, and I had to endure his occasional antics. I had just gone to my own company for a meeting, and he had already rejected several big deals for the company. After flipping through the torn contracts, I rubbed my throbbing temples. Without exception, they were all projects in collaboration with David's company.
What are you up to now? I demanded.
I don't like him, Henry said stubbornly, refusing to sign.
What did he do to you?
His name is Unlucky, Henry said, flipping open the contract and pointing at it. David, divorce, it does sound unlucky.
Wait, why was I following his line of thought? David was one of Henry's good friends.
I don't want a separation, Henry looked at me with wet eyes. Are you trying to trick me into signing separation papers?
The air in the office seemed to grow damp. I couldn't stay there any longer and called his secretary in.
Watch him sign. If he tears it up, print a new one.
I sat in the outer office, watching a stream of contracts being sent in, my teeth clenching tighter and tighter.
Stop! I called out, halting the flow of contracts. I pulled out my phone and made a call.
Hey, James, do you think it's easy for a tree to grow big?
It's not easy.
If a little inconvenience to you could save a tree, would you be willing?
I would.
James, you're a good person, I silently gave him a thumbs up. Your project might have to wait a bit longer to be signed.
With that, I hung up. James, oh James, blame your good name and your good friend. Sigh. Half a month passed in a blur, and my separation papers were finally ready. Henry had hidden the matter of the substitute so well that even if he regained his senses, he wouldn't let me go until the end of the year. I might as well take advantage of his condition and trick him into signing. But now, Henry reacted to the words separation or even their homophones with something akin to post-traumatic stress. He wasn't easy to deceive. Before I could come up with a good plan, an invitation arrived from the Sioux family ancestral home. Grandma's birthday was approaching. She was the only person in the Sioux family I still cared about. When I was fighting tooth and nail against the Sioux Corporation, Grandpa suggested promoting the second branch to the head of the family. For Grandma's sake, I agreed to stop opposing the Sioux Corporation. Emily, are you really going to destroy what your mother left behind just to fight him? I didn't want to, so for all these years, I let that family live freely. Still, living under someone else's roof, I had to watch my step. The Sioux family mansion was surprisingly crowded, even David was there.
What are you doing here? Something felt off today.
They said Henry would be here today. I came to confront him.
You!
What's the point of confronting him? You might as well change your name. Henry wouldn't come anyway. A servant led me upstairs. Grandma was waiting in her bedroom, looking unwell.
What are you doing here? She still greeted me with scolding, telling me to stay away and not to bother her.
A stubborn old lady.
How could I not come to your 70th birthday?
I handed her a carefully wrapped package.
Master Fang's last work, fragrant maple. I raised an eyebrow. I went to great lengths to get it.
You child, do you think this wrapping does it justice? Grandma looked at the masterpiece wrapped in old newspaper, her graying hair trembling slightly, whether from surprise or joy.
Or maybe anger. Coming back to her senses, Grandma still pushed me away, telling me to leave quickly.
Not even staying for a meal? I spread my hands helplessly.
Seeing her serious expression, I dropped my casual demeanor.
What's going on? And what's this about Henry coming today?
Great! Just great! Do they think everyone else is as dirty as they are?
I never expected Jessica to lie about being the one Henry always talked about after getting humiliated at the hospital. And how could Andrew be so foolish as to spread the news that Henry would come to the Sue family today to confirm it?
You should leave quickly, Emily. They don't have good intentions.
I didn't send you an invitation because I know you don't like coming to the Sue family.
Grandma was still trying to persuade me to leave, but what if Henry was tricked into coming and got hurt? As his quasi-guardian, I couldn't let anything happen to him. I tried to calm myself as I went downstairs. Jessica and her parents were standing in the center of the hall, and the tall man beside them was indeed Henry. He really came. Henry saw me and ran up the stairs, holding my hand.
Why did you disappear without saying anything?
And you, why are you here?
I came to find you. Someone told me you were here. He rubbed my hand, his eyes avoiding mine. Did I do something wrong again? Will there be fish for dinner tonight?
Playing cute. I lost.
You didn't do anything wrong. Have you eaten?
Henry shook his head, his hair swaying comically. I casually handed him a small cake to eat. David, noticing the situation, came over and questioned Henry about delaying the project. Henry seemed to think for a long time before recognizing his old friend.
Your name doesn't sound good. Change it, and I'll sign.
David looked at me for help.
Listen to him. Change it to whatever you want.
David was helped away by his assistant, but not before making Henry promise to sign the contract after the name change. To convince him, Henry reluctantly made a pinky promise with him. My mood, which had been good, gradually worsened as Jessica approached.
Sister, do you want to know why your husband came?
Henry stepped in front of me, covering my ears.
Don't listen to her.
I was stunned, his hand was so warm. Jessica gritted her teeth and continued.
Gardenius. I just mentioned that she might be here, her lips curling into a grin, and he came running.
Henry's body stiffened, refusing to move his hand away.
Let go. I forcefully pulled his hand off my ear, swallowing the bitterness in my throat, and turned to leave.
Henry could do whatever he wanted, I wouldn't stay. The sudden screams and commotion behind me didn't stop my steps. As I walked out of the Sue residence, rain fell from the yellowish sky, and there was no broad suit jacket over my head. There was no one beside me to shield me from the rain. How could he not chase after me after deceiving me? Well done, Henry. Enjoy your dream with your gardenias for the rest of your life.
Open the door!
Half an hour later, I kicked forcefully at a door on the third floor of the Sue residence. I was already halfway out in my car when Henry's messages came through.
Shirt is the best match, Emily, I'm scared. Shirt is the best match, I feel like I'm about to collapse.
What a ridiculous name. It took me a while to realize that the person full of typos was Henry. I had experienced such underhanded tactics on the day I married into the Henry family. They didn't know about the agreement between Henry and me and were afraid I would run away, so they drugged me. I was groggy throughout the entire wedding and even more restless in the bridal chamber. That night, Henry didn't take advantage of me. His voice was still cold but incredibly reassuring. He spent the whole night wiping me down with a wet towel and alcohol. I couldn't just stand by and watch Henry be manipulated. Andrew and Catherine were outside, blocked by the people I had brought. After kicking the door a few times without any response, I took off my stiletto heel and smashed it against the doorknob. After a dozen hits, the lock finally gave way. I took a deep breath and went in alone, realizing then that my hands were trembling slightly. What I saw next made it impossible for me to stay calm. Leaving Henry was for my dignity, but loving him was an instinct I had developed over time. Step by step, the white sheets came into view, making me feel dizzy. Where was Henry?
Emily. A tearful voice brought me back to my senses.
I looked towards the source of the voice and saw a hand with distinct knuckles tightly gripping the mahogany window ledge. Half a hand, half a hand.
Henry! I rushed over and grabbed his forearm tightly.
Henry's cheeks were flushed, his eyes dazed. I didn't know how long he had been hanging there. His shirt was half wet, and his hair was pitifully stuck to his temples. I called for a few bodyguards outside to come in. Turning around, I braced myself against the wall, trying to pull Henry's precarious body back.
Are you an idiot? Do you have a death wish?
I'm scared. Henry shivered in the cold wind. I wanted to hide, but there was nowhere to hide. I'm so hot.
Before he could finish, a sudden gust of wind whooshed past my ear. Emily, if I can't have you, then you can't either. A heavy impact spread from my back. My upper body was pushed out of the window, and the wind and rain roared past my ears. Falling from the third floor happened too quickly. I didn't even realize when Henry had wrapped me in his arms before we hit the ground. With him cushioning the fall, I quickly regained my senses from the impact. Underneath me, Henry's body grew hotter, his face painfully contorted and flushed. The muddy water on the grass turned a glaring color, it was blood.
Henry! Henry! Henry!
My hoarse cries were drowned out by his slowly closing eyes. Narrator, tone, serious Henry spent another 2 weeks in the hospital. During that time, he just stared at me intensely, his gaze like that of a greedy wolf. Narrator, tone, serious he didn't seek out his old flame, nor did he have any new infatuations. The plot in his mind had evolved, his old flame was gone, and I was just a stand-in to fulfill his needs. This condition of his was getting worse and worse. Narrator, tone, sad how could I compete with someone who was no longer alive? Narrator, tone, sad by the time we got home, I still hadn't come up with a solution. That night, I was still thinking about it as I stepped out of the bathroom after my shower. Narrator, tone, sad I didn't notice the wolf waiting by the door. He patiently took the hairdryer from my hand, and once my hair was dry, he grabbed my waist and threw me onto the bed. Narrator, tone, angry then he straddled me, pinning my wrists above my head with one hand.
Me, tone, irritated Henry, what are you doing now?
Narrator, tone, unfriendly his gaze fell on my lips, cold and obsessive. A stand-in should act like one.
Me, tone, angry you son of a MMPH.
Narrator, tone, unfriendly. After a while, his eyes grew even darker. Swearing deserves punishment. Narrator, tone, angry. I took the opportunity to continue cursing under my breath.
Henry, tone, unfriendly. It seems you enjoy my punishment, he said, lowering his head.
Narrator, tone, sad. I was panting too hard to speak, and then the phone rang. Henry kept a tight grip on my hands and answered the call with his free hand.
Alex, tone, serious, Miss Sue, the final draft of the divorce agreement is ready. Should I send it to you now?
Narrator, tone, sad. Thank you, Ray. Having you is a blessing. Henry hung up the phone, his face visibly darkening, his eyes narrowing dangerously. My legs trembled.
Henry, tone, unfriendly. You've been naughty. He breathed heavily into my ear. I need to give you the most severe punishment.
Narrator, tone, sad. That night, a room on the second floor of the Henry household was brightly lit. Shadows could be seen moving faintly inside. Narrator, tone, serious. Henry was always calm and composed. I even suspected he didn't like women at all. I once wore a camisole in front of him, and he didn't even blink. Narrator, tone, serious. How did he turn into a wolf after losing his memory? Lying in bed, sore all over, I pondered life. A rather cruel thought crept into my mind. Narrator, tone, sad. The old Henry was probably saving himself for that old flame. The irrational Henry now just saw me as a stand-in. It was suffocating, really suffocating. Narrator, tone, angry. I glared at Henry, who looked satisfied even in his sleep, and anger surged within me. I kicked him hard.
Henry, tone, surprised. A scream, followed by a grunt. I clutched my aching leg, and Henry's sleepy eyes were full of grievance.
Narrator, tone, sad. For a moment, I almost thought he had turned back into the simple-minded Henry. It was better when he was simple-minded. At least he knew how to protect me and wouldn't treat me like this. Narrator, tone, serious. Awake. Henry's eyes were deep, his furrowed brows showing his displeasure. But he just gently kissed my brow. The tenderness in his eyes made me feel dazed. But a lie could never become the truth. Narrator, tone, serious. A thought suddenly flashed through my mind, a door Henry never allowed me to enter. Maybe the answer I sought was in there. Whether that old flame was a figment of his illness or a real person, I needed to know to avoid any regrets. In our first, unlike the rainy day when they visited Mother, the sun was warm, as if it favored that girl. Emily's numb soul couldn't hold it together when she saw the school gate.
Are you out of your mind, Henry? This is a school, not a cemetery. Are you here to burn offerings at school?
This is my alma mater.
Henry didn't argue, took out a black plastic bag from the back seat, and forcefully pushed Emily through the school gate. The school hadn't changed much. Even though it was the weekend, there were quite a few people coming and going. Henry led her straight in one direction without avoiding anyone. When they reached Building A, he stopped and placed the plastic bag on a nearby wooden bench. He took out some paper money and a lighter.
What on earth are you doing burning offerings in front of the building?
Then Emily watched as Henry took out a small iron basin and placed it neatly in front of a green trash can. And then he started the ritual.
It would have been better if he had done it in front of the building.
The gray smoke swirled in front of her as she held her head, her mind racing with absurd thoughts. The little gardenia couldn't have died in the trash can, could it? It wouldn't fit in there anyway. The ritual lasted 10 minutes, 5 of which were spent with Henry trying to pull Emily down to kneel and kowtow.
Kneel beside me. The little gardenia said she agrees with us being together.
Who cares if she agrees?
Emily resisted with all her might, but Henry's strength was greater, and he forced her to kneel and kowtow once. She covered her slightly reddened forehead, staring at the surveillance camera in front of the building, feeling utterly hopeless.
What are you doing?
A puzzled voice sounded. Emily quickly pulled Henry up, and when she looked, it was a familiar face.
Emily, is that you?
Michael's eyes showed a hint of panic, ignoring the strange scene in front of him.
I've been wanting to apologize to you. I'm sorry.
A long overdue apology indeed. A few days after Mother passed away due to a cat hair allergy, Catherine and Jessica had already moved in. Jessica was sent to our city high school, in the same class as Emily. She was sweet-looking and knew how to please people, quickly becoming popular. At that time, Grandma had returned to the Sioux family to take care of her, so Jessica didn't dare to bully her openly. It was mostly verbal insults, tearing up homework, and other minor annoyances. The darkest part of that gloomy period was actually Mother's departure and Father's betrayal. But there were moments of light. One morning, as the sunlight hit her desk, Emily lay on it, soaking up the warmth, and suddenly felt something sharp in her hand. She pulled it out from the desk and saw it was a small yellow paper-folded cat, with its sharp ears. Unfolding it, she saw a line of neat handwriting. "It's not your fault, it's someone else's."
Was this meant to comfort me? Of course, it was someone else's fault, and I would make them pay.
Emily carefully tucked this piece of nonsense into the inner pocket of her backpack. Later, she received a new paper cat every day, sometimes with just one sentence, sometimes with a long paragraph. Most of it was nonsense, but a few, she thick-skinnedly felt, were confessions. Someone will come to love you. Be happier today than yesterday. I saw a white kitten today, it reminded me of you. The gardenias by the library are blooming again, you should go see them. Do you find me annoying? The cute paper cats piled up, creating a space where she could breathe freely. She waited in a good mood for the day its owner would muster the courage to find her. The day Michael confessed to me, I didn't receive the origami cat. He seemed very flamboyant, not like the person I was looking for. But just in case, I took out the origami and asked,
Did you send this?
He hesitated for a moment, seemingly embarrassed to admit it.
Yes, I sent it. Do you like it?
I do.
After that day, Michael stopped sending me origami, which I found a bit regrettable. But then I thought, since we had met, there was no need to send them anymore. He was indeed very good to me. He would always appear a second before someone tried to bully me and help me fight back, even though I didn't need it. He would buy me many gifts and snacks, even though I didn't need them. He would sit with me on the wooden bench surrounded by gardenias to read, even though I didn't need it. I thought he must have loved me deeply, so I should accommodate him a bit more. Later, I realized he didn't love me deeply, he wanted to use love to make me more miserable. When I saw Michael again, I didn't expect to feel so calm. Back then, to pursue Jessica, he listened to her and deceived me, making me a laughingstock in public. To say I didn't hate him would be a lie. But as time passed, that pain and humiliation gradually blurred. What remained in my mind was the origami cat with little ears. It was the words written on the paper, "Someone will come to love you." Seeing him anxiously waiting for my forgiveness, I almost wanted to laugh.
If you really wanted to apologize, you wouldn't have waited until now.
Michael's face turned pale, and he glanced behind me.
So what exactly are you apologizing for? I looked at Henry behind me. Do you know him?
A jerk, I don't know him.
Michael took a few steps back in response.
You and Henry have a history?
Michael avoided answering, and Henry crossed his arms and raised an eyebrow.
He bullied a little gardenia, and I beat him up.
All right, stop talking. I suddenly don't want to hear it anymore.
Why is there always a little gardenia everywhere? It's so annoying. The pungent smell in the air hadn't dissipated yet.
No matter what you're apologizing for, I accept it.
I pushed Henry, signaling him to quickly pick up his metal basin.
Hurry up and pack it up.
As I turned to leave, Michael suddenly called out to me. Could it be that he discovered we were burning paper? Then I heard him ask softly.
Why? Why did you accept the apology so easily?
Otherwise, should I cry and scream because I was deceived in love? Or should I make you kneel and apologize?
Please don't!
Michael wasn't someone you couldn't deal with, he really would kneel. Luckily, I reacted in time to stop him.
I don't need you to kneel. Considering the origami cats were cute back then. I forgive you.
Michael stood there in a daze. I didn't look at him again and quickly pulled the gloomy-faced Henry away. If we didn't leave soon, we would be caught by the security guards. Civilized memorials are everyone's responsibility.
Don't run!
Hearing Michael's distant shout, I pulled Henry and ran faster, but we were still caught at the door.
What do you want? I panted, looking at the car door just a few steps away, and winked at Henry. Hurry up and open the door.
He didn't understand my hint and stood there like a pillar in front of me.
Actually, those origami cats weren't from me. I just went along with it at the time.
After he finished, he seemed to breathe a sigh of relief.
It was indeed quite dishonest. I'm sorry, really sorry.
My attention was no longer on his apology. If it wasn't from him, then who was it? I thought about the hundreds of origami cats I had collected and kept in the compartment of my school bag. In a fit of anger, I had thrown them all into the trash can downstairs.
Michael, you jerk.
My first love, my little cat, the person who said they would come to love me. By a twist of fate, I had thrown them away myself.
Emily, you can't call him a jerk, Henry corrected with a stern face, you can only call me that.
Question mark.
Crazy, I'm calling the police. Narrator, tone, sad little bunny, be quiet, you're disturbing. The bunny whimpered a few more times and then fell silent.
Still keeping the cat?
Narrator, tone, serious I asked, propping myself up with a stern face. Henry turned to sneak a glance at my expression, then shook his head with difficulty.
Henry, tone, apologetic, I'm sorry. I won't let the cat near you again.
Narrator, tone, sad I sighed silently. The first time I had an allergic reaction in front of him, he also apologized like he had done something wrong, even though it wasn't his fault.
I love the way Emily smiles. Two shallow dimples, so tempting. I must be so strange, I only want her to smile at me.
But later, when her favorite cat nestled at her feet, she would only keep a cold face.
At that time, I thought, as long as someone could make her smile. It didn't matter if it wasn't me.
The first time I saw Emily wasn't at school. It was at a pet store where I was working part-time.
Which one would fill the cat up but not make it fall in love?
Such a strange question. I thought for a long time, and she stared at me for a long time, making my cheeks feel like they were burning.
Maybe this one, the taste is average, but the nutrition is adequate.
I didn't even know what I was saying, but somehow, she ended up buying a few bags and checking out.
If someone at home is allergic to cat fur, as long as I wash up after holding the cat, it should be fine, right?
At that moment, I really wished I knew the answer. But I really had no idea, so I could only shake my head in her expectant gaze.
She didn't say anything else and looked like she was about to leave.
Maybe you could ask a doctor.
A silly suggestion, but she still smiled and thanked me. Her voice was so pleasant to hear.
I didn't expect to see Emily at school. She was feeding a little white cat with the cat food, her eyebrows softening, and 2 dimples appearing at the corners of her lips. I was so entranced that the uncle delivering vegetables from the cafeteria flicked my forehead.
Henry, I told you to check if the vegetables arrived. What are you dawdling for?
Uncle, they haven't arrived yet.
He followed my gaze and saw Emily.
Checking out the girl? He coughed twice.
Nothing like that. I lowered my head, but my eyes couldn't help but glance over there.
Emily rubbed the little cat's ears. Suddenly, my ears felt a bit itchy.
Hey, isn't that the daughter of the school's major shareholder? Sioux Corporation, I see her parents often come to donate. Stop looking, we're not the same kind of people.
I took a few more glances before following the uncle back to the cafeteria. Not the same kind of people, so it's fine just to watch silently. The little white cat was originally skinny and small, but after a few months, Emily had fed it to almost the size of a Garfield. I had a part in that too. That cat was indeed quite cute. Uncle Sam from the pet store lent me a camera and asked me to take some photos of stray animals. I heard it was for setting up a stray animal protection organization.
I quietly asked if I could take some photos I liked. He looked at me teasingly and then laughed heartily, agreeing.
I took many photos of stray cats on campus, including that little white one. And I took photos of my favorite little cat. Afraid she would notice, all the photos came out blurry. Clearly, I could take clear and beautiful photos of other cats. But she, even blurry, looked so beautiful. Thanks to that camera, I captured many of her smiling profiles. Such a pure smile, never to be seen again. For a while, Emily didn't come to school, and I felt uneasy. I asked around, but no one knew what happened. Until the school issued an obituary, announcing that Sarah, the major shareholder, had passed away unexpectedly. That was Emily's mother. I once overheard her talking to the little cat, saying Sarah was the best mother in the world. I don't have parents, but seeing her smile, I knew having such a mother must be very happy. I saw Emily again on a cloudy day. Even though it was already early summer, she wore gloves and a mask, completely covered up to see the kitten.
I won't come again.
The kitten nuzzled around her feet, and she reflexively stepped back, clutching her chest. Her eyes turned red. I couldn't help but take a few steps forward. Before I could reach her, she pulled out a bottle, tore off her mask, and took a few puffs from it, like she was inhaling oxygen. The kitten shrank back, not daring to approach her again.
If I come a few more times, I might not make it.
On her wrist, exposed when she tore off the mask, were scars that had already scabbed over. They weren't from the kitten, which was always very gentle. Why couldn't Emily touch cats anymore? She used to be fine with them. I suddenly remembered the question she asked the first time we met.
Can that kind of illness be acquired later in life?
The sky grew darker as Emily walked away without looking back. I stood there for a long time. Raindrops fell on the grass, and the kitten suddenly meowed. In its amber eyes, a figure was reflected. Emily had returned.
Damn it, if it happens, it happens.
She picked up the kitten and walked through the rain, taking it away. After that day, Emily didn't come to school for many days. This time, I found out why. Emily had an allergic reaction and was hospitalized. She sent the kitten to Grandma's house, where it should be well taken care of. She even asked Grandma to give the school some money for the kitten. When she returned to school after recovering, Emily seemed even more withdrawn. She always sat alone at the back of the library, on a wooden bench surrounded by gardenias, with her head down reading a book. I quietly noted the book titles and borrowed them to read as well. They were collections of poems, very miscellaneous, not something one would choose to read on purpose. It seemed more like she was killing time out of boredom. A transfer student joined her class, with a name somewhat similar to hers but much less pleasant. Since Jessica arrived, Emily seemed even unhappier. She was like an isolated island in the sea, no longer taking the initiative to communicate with anyone. That smile hadn't appeared on her face for a long time. I thought for a long time and couldn't resist writing something to encourage her. I searched for tutorials and spent several weeks learning how to fold a decent-looking paper cat. If it was a cat, maybe she would be less repulsed. I chose a time when no one was around to secretly place it in her desk. I didn't dare to expect a response or see her reaction. Like a fool, I wrote many nonsensical things. Visibly, Emily occasionally smiled a little while reading, a very faint smile that only I could see. Could it be that my little paper cat had an effect? I really wanted to walk up to her and personally give her the best-looking paper cat, standing openly in front of her.
Michael actually confessed to Emily from class 2.
Did she accept?
Of course, Michael is so handsome, comes from a good family, and is so gentle.
My hand paused while folding the paper, and by the time I noticed, the paper was already crumpled in my hand. The writing on it was no longer legible. I knew Michael too, from the school basketball team, liked by many girls. He might be a great person, much better than someone like me, who couldn't even take care of myself and had to work multiple jobs to afford school. Emily deserved the best. I couldn't help but look at Emily again. She was carrying her backpack, frowning as she walked down the hallway, heading straight for the trash can. She dumped the contents of her backpack into it, piece by piece, with those familiar pointed ears. Oh, it was the little paper cat I gave her. So she didn't like it. Well, it was pretty creepy. I touched my face, it was wet. It must be raining. Emily's blurry figure walked away, and more people left. I stood behind the tree, waiting until the area around the school building was empty. An aunt came to collect the trash. She didn't expect a student to suddenly rush out, and I startled her.
Aunt, can I pick something out of the trash?
She ignored me and turned to collect trash from the other side. When I was about to reach in, she said from a distance,
"Be careful with your hands."
Then she threw me a pair of gloves.
Thank you, Aunt.
I quickly picked up the pieces. Some were already wet, some were torn. I hated those classmates who didn't separate wet and dry trash. They ruined my little paper cats, making me cry out of anger. That's right, I wasn't crying because the little cats were thrown away. I was just angry because they were ruined, dirty, and smelly, so I cried out of frustration. Why was the rain getting heavier?